What's going on? I am Ryan Lee, back with another episode of Ryan's Rundown. And this one, I can't even lie, it's a special one. I'm going to get right to it. I have my sister-in-law, Natalie Manuel Lee, television host. What's up?
Hello, how are you?
Nat, can I just say this is like a full circle type of situation? Because I remember we used to have these conversations about our career. And now to be having this conversation, I think it's a testament to what God has done, how far he's brought us. And I think we don't even know where he's about to take us.
Yes, I agree. And just as your sister in love, I'm beyond proud of you. I'm proud of you chasing after your dreams and more importantly, pushing when you don't want to ever really push, when you have those moments where you feel like you want to give up, but you don't. And I just commend you. I see your hustle and I'm proud of you. And it's definitely a full circle moment. This is a family affair, y'all. This ain't just any old podcast we're doing here.
Like, this is literally a family situation here, and I love that. So for those who don't know, Nat, tell them about your career and how you got started, which led you to being the host of Now with Natalie now.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin, where to start. What led me to Now with Natalie? Well, first off, before Now with Natalie, I was working with my brother, Jerry Lorenzo, who's the founder of Fear of God. And I worked with him for about 3 years. And I felt this inkling, this stirring in my spirit that it was time to transition out. And that was probably the most terrifying thing because, you're leaving something that you're familiar with and going into the unfamiliar territory of, okay, God, what am I supposed to do next? What do you want me to do? And I had no idea that Now with Natalie was even specifically around the corner, if you will. And so in that transition, when I left Fear of God, I went through a dark period a period of depression because I was so focused on what I needed to be doing for my career. And I think a lot of times we don't realize that we're so focused on the doing as opposed to the being that we get so caught up in feeling validated in the things that we do as opposed to just being. And so in that season of transition from Fear of God, like I said, it was in a dark period. And what came to me, I definitely started ideating ideas, but what came to me was, wait a minute, we all struggle with identity. We all struggle with purpose. It's a universal revelatory topic that we all should be talking about.
Right.
And that's kind of when Now with Natalie came about. Miles Monroe says this great slogan. He says, if you see a problem, become the solution. And I wanted to become the solution for our generation to have purposeful content out there that can be relatable, that we can actually feel like, okay, I can relate to this person or I can relate to that person. And so for me, I got a multitude of different influencers around different spheres in their careers, some at the highest peak of their careers, some not. To talk about their story, to talk about their identity, and to talk about their purpose and what they really think that it derives from. And so taking you back to that period when I was so dark in that transition, because I realized it was something that we all dealt with, that was the main focus for season 1. And essentially season 2 was, let's focus on identity, let's focus on purpose. And so that kind of was the genesis of Now with Natalie, and I pitched it to Hillsong Channel, and here we are today.
I love that. You talked about that dark season you went through, and I think a lot of us can relate to that, going through that season of depression or, what's next, and you left your comfort zone, and you went out on your limb based off of your faith. Yes. Now looking back at it, what did you gain from that dark season, and what did you learn?
Great question. What did I gain? I gained that God has a perfect record. Wow. I gained that I know that we have to look at God's equity. We have to look at what he's done for us prior to. A lot of times we're so fearful of jumping because it's scary. We are destabilized from what we're used to having and being. We're so used to being in our comfort zone that we don't want to go and jump and not have control. And that's the other thing. I think I learned how to relinquish control. I'm still learning how to do it. It's still a battle day in and day out, not only in my personal life, but in my in my work life of just really relinquishing control and learning how to trust.
Mm-hmm.
But I also learned in that dark season, the reason why I couldn't relinquish control was because I was so fearful. And fear was the root of what I was holding me back from being able to jump. And so I think anybody listening out there, knowing that we need those dark seasons, because those dark seasons will give us the tools that we need to sustain us for where God is taking us. And so for me, in that season, I definitely learned to relinquish control. I learned that God has a perfect record, and I learned to just trust. Like, it's like he widened the net a little bit. We want to go, we want this big thing, but we're so afraid to step. You know, I posted something the other day. It's like, we ask God to order our steps, but we don't walk. It's like, then why are we asking him to order our steps? You know, transition doesn't require logic. Transition requires faith.
Wow. Wow. that one got me. Wasn't ready there. Now with Natalie, the series, I love it. It's a series where you interview people that are top of the top in their careers. So you've talked to people like Charlemagne, to your brother Jerry Lorenzo, Haley Bieber, Tyson Chandler, and you talk to them specifically about identity and their purpose. And you know, this past season you focused on shame. Talk to me about identity and why that's so important to cover now, and especially in this generation.
Because I always say, if we don't know who we are,
mm-hmm.
if we don't know where we're from, we'll never know why we're here, which equates to your purpose. So the who is so important. The who is a part of the blueprint of the why we're here. If we are, you know, comparing ourselves to the Joneses, if we are wanting all these external things to validate what we feel internally, our identity is just going to be in this false narrative that literally, essentially, the society is selling to us. That they're saying that your identity is rooted in the car you have, the money you drive, the blue check next to you, next to your name on social media, the amount of followers that you have, the money in your account, there's circles that you run in. And in all reality, identity is who God has just called you to be. You just need to be who God has called you to be. It's not about this external stuff. And I think I've dealt with it. We all deal with it. It's still a daily struggle, day in and day out. Right. But at the end of the day, our focus cannot be on those things. And I think because purpose is such this revelatory topic that we all struggle with day in and day out, we don't realize that a bigger part of what purpose is really first identifying who we are. And so that is why I wanted to cover identity, and also to put these people we glorify these people as opposed to, we glorify the position that these people have as opposed to why God has given them these positions. Mm-hmm. And so that's again why I wanted to highlight these people and say, hey, not only do they deal with it too, but they are being good stewards over their platform as much as they can. So, you know, I saw a need, and especially with shame, you know, in order for us to know who we are, we must first realize who we are not. And the enemy does a great job of telling us, you are your mistakes, you are your frailties, you are your setbacks, you're all those things. Mm-hmm. But it's in reality, we need to renounce those lies. That's a complete and utter lie. Yeah. And so how are we trying to get to the next? And we're carrying this baggage of all of these labels that aren't our labels. Mm. And the only person, and then we have to also realize that there's only one person that can actually label you. Mm. You know, you can't label me. Friends can't label me. The one that created me can label me. So that's the key, to just remember that.
One of the things that I love about the show is that it's people that, you know, are these people that we glorify the positions they're in, and we love what they do, and we put them on a different level. But watching the show, I learned, I think, from each episode, like, wow, they went through that. I gone through that too. Like, wow, he battles with that. That's something I battle with. And I think it shows people on another level that these people that we put on this pedestal, really, we're all on the same level when it comes to who's at the top. And I felt like there isn't a platform for that until Now with Natalie came about.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's why I created it, because, you know, you have other outlets that are just kind of wanting the hot topics of the day and that are wanting the juice and the tea. And that's completely fine, but that's not necessarily serving the people for the greater good. It's serving them for potentially what they're battling with. They want to know other people aren't doing good. They want the tea to make them feel better about themselves. And for me, mine's a complete opposite. I want you to know, hey, I want you to feel better about yourself because these people are going through the same thing that you're going through.
Yeah, I love that. So I have a few questions for you, Nat. A few that I wanted to ask you that I think our generation is going through. Number one, talk about that season when you feel like you're not living in your purpose, but it may be necessary in order to get to your purpose. But it's like that season of frustration because you're like, I know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, God, I know you called me to something bigger, but why am I not there yet?
I think that's probably the biggest mistake our generation makes. And I made it. And I sometimes still struggle with it, that we don't realize that we're always in purpose. We don't realize, even if it's not the thing, it's the thing leading to the thing. Even if it's a setback, there's a lesson in that setback. Even if it's a dark season, like I said, there's tools in that season that you need in order for you to sustain where you want to go. I think we have to realize that from me folding my daughter May Jones' clothes and to cleaning the dishes and those mundane tasks have a bigger purpose. That's teaching me patience. That's teaching me discipline for whatever else is to come. And so I think that we first need to realize that we are in purpose. We are in purpose day in and day out. And, just don't feel frustrated. Look at this as an opportunity. Shift your perspective. Your perspective should not just be, oh, I'm trying to obtain that thing. Okay, there's a reason why you haven't obtained that thing. There's a reason why that thing potentially might not be yours yet. And I read actually something this morning in Upmost in my devotional. It was talking about how when we go ahead of God, we try to plant our own seeds, but realize that there is no harvest. We have to make sure that if we want to be in God's will for our life, that we will bear much fruit. In order to be in God's will, we have to let him lead us. And because we are this generation where everything comes to us right away and that we want that instant gratification, we do a lot of times jump ship. It's okay to jump ship, but just realize that when you jump ship, you might stay there for a little bit. You might stay at the dock for a little bit. There might not be a harvest. And so I think it's just imperative to embrace the season that you're in, embrace the purpose that you're in now, because you need it in order to get to that big thing.
Yeah, I think, and I've talked to you about it and you've helped me with this, is that the hard season for me is that waiting season.
Yeah.
Season of like, God, what's really going on here? But I'm now seeing that there's so many tools that I grasp from that waiting season, especially like building my faith on it of I'm going to wait because I know you said something to me. So I know it has to come to pass, but I'm going to just continue to wait. But that's so tough because I think you said it. We're in a generation where we just want it now and we think it has to be quick. And when God, I know when he set me down for a whole year, I went crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, what are you doing? But it was in that season that now I look back and I was like, if I would have, like you said, planted my own seeds, I wouldn't be here right now.
And we feel like we're missing out, I mean, I struggle with that too as well. But when you feel like, oh my God, there's more to be doing, I'm ready. But a lot of times you don't want to take the banana pudding or banana bread out of the oven before it's time. You don't want to take it out because it won't be ready. Yeah. And so you don't want to be exposed, and then there's something that might be exposed inside of you. So you just want to be ready, and trust the process. And I also it's good that you were able to sit down for a year and to be able to rest. It's hard. It's very, very difficult. But it also, whatever you defined as rest, your rest could be maybe not doing certain things, not doing interviews, not, scrambling day in and day out to kind of do. Your rest could potentially just be being. But I think it's important for people to differentiate between what they actually mean when it means to rest, what it means to trust, what it means to be still, and know that you're not going to miss it. You're not going to miss it, because what's for you is for you. You're not going to miss it. You can't miss it.
And I love that, though. That's what I love, that quote, like, what is for you is for you. Because honestly, it doesn't matter how long, if God has it for you, it's going to come to you. And I love it.
I mean, we're both, in this field and in journalism, you see now people are creating content, and there's a lot of other outlets that can potentially, that you could have a desire to want to compete with. But at the end of the day, you have to say to yourself, what is for me, what is for me? What Ryan has, Natalie doesn't have. What Ryan has, whoever else doesn't have. What Natalie has, Ryan doesn't have. And just knowing that the reason why we are all internally different and externally different is for a purpose. And it's so imperative and important for us not to compare in that process, because what's for me is for me. And, you could go out and look at other journalists. So they got that interview, or she got that interview. Well, you have an opportunity to get it too. And guess what? You can do the interview completely different.
Mm-hmm.
You can get something out of that gets completely different,
Yeah, no, I mean, just to get sidetracked a little bit, but even during pandemic, that is something that I went through. I felt like pandemic was two things for me. I still worked, right? But it also was a season that I did rest. And for me, that rest was, I kind of took back from, not doing interviews and not focusing so much on my brand. And at first I was mad at myself, like, you're seeing journalists do this, people are creating this content. And I wasn't in that season, but I knew God was like, I just need you to kind of like sit and chill right now. And now looking at it to where now I'm at, where it's like, I have my own show on KISS, I now understand, I see why you were sitting me down to focus, to rest, to kind of circle back. And then now I'm ready to go. But I want to talk to you. Let's go back to identity.
Yeah.
And social media. How we live in a day and age that, and we know it, social media is a highlight reel. We know that, but I don't know if sometimes we fully understand that. Mm-hmm. And how do we grasp identity when everybody now in the day and age where they want to post their new job, they want to post a new announcement, they want to post their new car? How do we live with social media, but still know you got to understand who you are before you go onto social media and you go crazy?
I don't think it's the great evil that a lot of people think it is. I think it is a gift and a curse. And I think it's a curse if we misuse it. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we don't, yes, we need to protect our ear gates and our eye gates. So I think it's on us to know how much stuff we can consume and we shouldn't consume day in, day out. If it's becoming this addictive thing that we're looking at to compare ourselves, then that's on you. That's on you to figure out how to actually pull back from what's damaging you. Mm-hmm. And I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying at the end of the day. Like, you got to know what's for you is for you. You have to be confident in yourself. You have to be confident and trust in God and know that what he said he will do will come to pass for your life. You have to also exercise being able to see other wins. You have to see other wins and say, and those other wins should be, oh my God, if God can do it in their life, they can do it in mine. Mm-hmm. It should be a motivation as opposed to something that might make you feel less than or not enough. It should just be like, okay, that's good. Like that's their time. They're in their season. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a due time. Everyone has a season. Mm-hmm. And so it's more of just to me, it should be something of a, what's coming up next for yourself. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is possible. How is it possible for him or for her, but it's not possible for me? And so just use it in the way that it needs to be used, because social media uses us as well. And if you know that you're not able to use it, you should get off of it, or at least reel back how often you're on it.
Yeah, I've had to do that because I think I've talked to you about this. I was battling with, I compare easily.
Yeah.
And I would see where certain people are at. And then I would question God, why am I not there yet? And I did have to take a step back, like, yo, you may need to chill, because if you're going on Instagram every day and comparing, that's a problem. So I did have to take that step back, like, you know, it was a curse in that sense for me.
Yeah, and we all do it. The people at the top of their game, at the top of their industry, do it. I think it's a discipline that we just need to have, and we need to know. Oh, if we feel that inkling coming up, okay, you know what? I need to maybe fast or go off or take a social media break. I've done that before. Just like knowing that my lens, when your lens becomes distorted, when you can't see clearly, what you see is what you see. And when your lens is in that distorted view of comparison and compete, all you're going to do is see and want to compare and compete. But when you take that beat, when you take that break and that lens comes off, and then you have a purifying lens, a more purified lens, then it's healthy to get back on. But it's on you to know what lens you're looking at. And it's on you to know where you're at mentally and emotionally.
Wow, I like that. Now with Natalie, you just finished season 2. You 2 seasons in. I want to ask you, what have you taken from it and learned from it most out of all the interviews you've done, and, you know, everything combined? What have you really taken from it?
I mean, I say it all the time. I probably sound like a broken record, but the greatest way to serve is to tell your story. And sitting across from people, being able to ask them such vulnerable, transparent questions, and for their answers to just be very honest is not only a humbling thing, but it serves the people on the other side. It's for the greater good. And so what I've learned is just knowing that we have to tell our story. We have to continue to tell our story. We have to continue to be honest with our story. And also in season 1, I interviewed a homeless man, and his name was Poet. And he said in his, God, it blessed me, and it's kind of always in my back pocket. I asked him what success was to him, and he goes, I probably have $1.68 in my pocket. That's the only amount of money that I own, is $1.68. But success to me is peace, and I am successful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're gonna end it there. We're gonna drop the mic there. Nat, I appreciate you, sis. Like, you know, it's all love. I'm so proud of Now with Natalie. I remember when it was in the beginning stages, and when you had first showed me everything, and I was just like, I was like, this is the time that we need it. This is the time social media needs it, for people to see other people, to be transparent. I think God, he has called you to do it. And you have an anointing on you that he allows people to really hear you and to be able to have those conversations that, you know, they may not be able to do with everybody. So I'm just excited to see you in your calling and killing it.
And vice versa. I appreciate that. And I love you for always supporting me and us having those conversations in Hartsville and Greenville. Those conversations. If anybody doesn't know, my in-laws are from Hartsville and Greenville.
Yeah.
The grandparents. So yeah, I remember those conversations in your grandma's dining area and us just dreaming, you know. Yeah. And now look, and vice versa to you. We're proud of you. Keep on keeping on. You only at the beginning.
Yeah, I appreciate it always. Now with Natalie, it's available on YouTube, and you can check out season 1 and season 2 if you have not already. Natalie, let them know where they can follow you and everything as well.
All right. You can follow me on Instagram, Natalie Manuel Lee, and then the show is Now with Natalie on Instagram.
This is Ryan's Rundown on the iHeartRadio app. I am Ryan Lee from Kiss FM. We out.